All right. So a slightly more energetic live stream. I know the live streams recently I've been doing them at night because I've been getting off work. Luckily, I'm off most of the day. I think I'm going to be on call later tonight, which it is what it is. Whatever. But that's not a problem. So let's get into the situation here. Let's get into the situation of the title. Can you be a socialist and not a communist? And I would say absolutely. Now, of course, I know people are going to say, oh, you mean National Socialism. Not necessarily. You could also, like I say, there are people that will praise the DPRK and will praise Juche. And the fact is that they know, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea practices Juche. Oi! What's going on, Jake English? Oi! But I do think you can be a socialist and not necessarily be a national socialist. And be a socialist and support socialistic changes through revolution and not be a full-on communist. Yeah. Fascism equals honest socialism, hey. Yeah. Yeah. We're trying to dodge the censors today, but yeah. That's kind of what we mean. But we're trying to be careful here. So non-Marxist socialists exist. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Non-Marxist socialism is the best socialism. Yeah. The thing is, I mean, what people say about that is that, Lenin delved into the difference between socialism and communism. Socialism is where the workers own the means of production and there is a dictatorship of the proletariat. Right? And then once you reach another level and you have, this is what Trotsky was trying to talk about, with an international revolution, then we can have true communism, And then, of course, you have the foreign workers' state that Trotsky talked about and all that sort of thing. Of course, they'll say that Trotsky worked with the Nazis and all this sort of thing. And it's just like, there's a lot of pitiful cope about Trotsky. And, meh. But anywho, I think it's important to separate between socialism versus communism. Because, of course, most Americans are retarded. We are retarded, yeah. Dictatorship over the proletariat, yeah. I was going to say is the United States, most people and most conservatives, quote unquote, do not know the difference between socialism versus communism. It's the same thing to them. They think that, communism is going to take over everything, right? And I think to a point that's bullshit. It's obviously bullshit. I think the DPRK is a perfect example. I think Cuba is another perfect example of countries that, want to be able to protect their gains in providing for their people, but also fighting the rest of the system, which I think is important. I feel paranoid. I don't think they're going to look at me. I don't think neighbors are, but I think it's important to say these things. I think it's important to try to separate yourself between these things. Now, of course, people will call themselves, I remember hearing good old Russell Bentley and say the difference between a socialist and a communist is that a communist will fight for what they believe in, this and that. Like I said, I think that to a point, I take Russell Bentley with a huge grain of salt. I take him with a salt mine. That's how much faith I take in him, because there's a lot of stories you can hear about. Maybe some of it's slander and it's not really true, but hearing about the fact that he was, drunk on a radio station, this and that sort of thing. And like I said, I take Russell Bentley with a huge grain of salt, because I think that he's one of these guys. Yeah, I do think that he fought against the Ukraine Nazis, as he likes to put it. But now he's older. he's never going to go back to the United States. He's never going to see his family again. He's made his choice. He's made his choice to live in the DPR and to go back and forth between there and Russia, you know. And he goes back and forth on Russia, saying, yeah, Russia still has socialism, man. Russia still has socialism. It all depends on what sort of this is kind of a continuation of, you know, what I think about, you know, these truthers and whatnot, and what truthers are left out there. Because I think that you know, you'll have your James Corbett's. Nazi aren't socialists. What's your take on that? Nazis aren't socialists. Well, I'm gonna try to give a thoughtful answer on this. I think that the whole thing of that is that they gave lip service to aspects of socialism. And I think that if the war had gone differently, and if war wasn't declared the same way, then maybe it would be possible. But the thing is, though, is, you know, Hitler worked with people like okay. Well, I think we're still going. We'll find out. Is the audio still going? Yeah. Hitler worked with, he worked with Hjalmar Schacht. That's it, yeah. Hjalmar Horst Greeley Schacht. Do y'all hear me? Nobody hears me, do they? Hold on. Hold on there. I may have to restart this. Hold on. It's because I moved it, yeah. Okay, it's still up? Okay. Crapola. Okay, yeah, you hear me? Okay. I'm just going to leave it like this then. Sorry about that, folks. But yeah, you know, people like Hitler work with Hjalmar Schacht, and then pretty much Hjalmar Schacht got kicked out. He was in a concentration camp by 1943. You just had some cringe people around them. Just a moment. I'll explain a little bit here. So, you had the Strength Through Joy program. But the thing is, though, it was led by corrupt people. You know, Dr. Robert Ley was corrupt. Let's just be honest. You know, he took in money from these areas. You know, he promised to get everyone, you know, get all German citizens a Volkswagen Beetle. Yeah, the Volkswagen Beetle, of course, was designed by Porsche, but the whole idea of calling it the Beetle came from Hitler. And of course, the Beetle is, of course, nowadays one of the most widely produced vehicles in the world. And of course, you know, people can say, oh, it's awful, this and that. But the thing is, though, you know, I mean, you could go ahead and say, you know, Herbie the Love Bug and all that sort of thing, right? But once the war started, much of that stuff left in the dust. You had Organization Toad come in and, you know, get slave labor from the conquered territories to build these subjects and everything else like that. So you had to be able to kind of split between what socialist actually means, you know. And I would go with the Slim model to say socialism in one country, That's my opinion anyway. It's socialism in one country. Because I think people realize, like, you can't have an international revolution to make things better, because these countries are vastly different from one another. Yeah. I'm talking about shocked. Okay. Yeah, I mean, to me, well, like Hjalmar Schacht, had a lot of irons and a lot of fires, so to speak. And he worked with the Anglos and all this in the Anglo-German friendship group or whatever it is. I can't think of the name of it, but a lot of folks will see that as, Hitler was funded by the Brits. He was funded by the Anglos and all this sort of thing. It's like, or the fact that Hitler used an illusionist, a Jewish illusionist to come up with his stage presence. And it's just like, yeah, you shock that thing. Oh, absolutely, yeah. Now, this is a question I've been asking myself for a while. Yeah. I mean, to me, I think you can absolutely be a socialist and want to provide for the people around you some basic standards, not necessarily UBI, but just provide people a strong social safety net that is not easily usurped through time. I mean, this is one of the biggest problems with the U.S., right, is these laws get put in place and then they get taken back. And it just seems like every 4 years, some laws come in, some laws come out. And a lot of laws just don't come back, right? For me, on a basic level, I would say you have to balance between, I would say start with education, for example. You have to balance education where kids are actually learning something in history or math or science, but also learning practical stuff, right? So being able to learn how to code, bro, and being able to learn and understand about what makes all this technology that we have around us work, right? So how does Wi-Fi work, or how does that TV work, or whichever, right? A lot of folks just don't understand that. And I think if you could try to explain it in a simpler way, it's the same thing with science as well. People are going on and on about you should listen to the experts, For as much as people claim, as much as, lefties try to claim to be anti-authoritarian, they sure are pushing a lot of authoritarian measures about the vaccine, right? And it comes off as very elitist. It comes off as very hypocritical. If you claim to be anti-authoritarian, but most science. What's your opinion on communism? Well, my opinion on communism is this. I mean, it would be nice, like I said, there's various definitions of it. But to me, communism is the final step, right? That's the whole idea of a classless, stateless, cashless society, right? That's the whole idea of communism. To me, I feel like that's unrealistic. Because it's like, to a point, I think that already exists. But this idea that, oh, well, we're all just going to get along in some sort of communist, we're all holding hands across the world sort of thing to fight racism. It's like, that's nice, but it's not realistic, It's just like the phrase that people always say, right? To conquer others, you have to conquer yourself first. I think the same thing goes with the country. You cannot try to make the whole world communist without being able to fix what's at home, right? It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not a communist in the idealist sense or the ML sense. I have an ideal, but it almost requires divine intervention, so I don't focus on it. And that's fair. Like I said, to me, you got to fix stuff at home first. You got to be able to, it's like me. Hopefully, I'm just BSing for no real good reason, but, maybe I'll sign up for a gym, lose some weight. I do have a job, so, that's a good thing. Motherfuckers say it's not realistic and then cry that the Soviets were too authoritarian. I don't say the Soviets were too authoritarian. I think the Soviets did what they had to do. I don't agree with them necessarily, but they did what they had to do. The thing is, people will, praise and also slander Stalin as much as they want to. But the thing is, though, Stalin, was studying to be a priest. So once the Russian Orthodox Church came back, heavily controlled by the Soviets, you had, a different system. Like I said, this is why I still call myself more of a Nazis. I agree with a lot of what the Soviet Union did. Now, I don't, like I said, you could get into Holodomor, you could get into all sorts of different subjects. I don't have the time or the effort for that. What I would say, though, is, the Soviets were able to compete toe-to-toe with the United States in terms of space technology, and being able to land on the moon and being able to do all that. Now, were there problems? Of course. It's not about some end goal society. That's an undialectical view of it. I don't like to sit here and theorize what it might look like. It's a waste of time. Fair enough. Fair enough. Like I say, the thing is, though, is that you have to, I'm going to have to show my marketing side here, is that you have to be able to sell something to people. It's like, okay, it's, you don't believe that there's some end goal society. Okay. But you have to be able to sell people on that idea, though. Just because you don't believe that there's an end goal, you have to be able to sell people on that. Right? Maybe that's wrong. People say, oh, it's not like marketing this thing. But the thing is, though, you have to promote your ideas somehow. And you have to be able to talk to people on a basic level and say, this is how we're going to do things. Now, of course, the thing is that, at the end of the day, pragmatism will reign and people will join who they think will serve their interests. But the thing is, though, on a larger scale, you have to be able to convince people some way. Right? That's my opinion anyway. I think that, to me, of trying to unite the whole world, it's like, that's nice. But it ignores larger cultural questions, right? This is where reactionary is up, right, so to speak, if you want to put it that way. So you had, you could talk about the Soviet Union, you could talk about whichever, right? But the thing is, though, is, for example, we've seen with China, we need to sell our solutions to the immediate issues. Okay. Well, I would ask you this then, Trevor, if I may call you that. What are the solutions? I know that you have said your my father's side is Ukraine, and I hate when anti-communists bring up the Holodomor to attack communism. Ukrainians themselves really only care about sovereignty. Ideology is secondary. Yeah. I'm very heterodox. I have a lot in common with third positionists since I used one. Oh, okay. Well, that's fair enough, Trevor. Like I say, I'll ask you this. I'm not necessarily directing this at you specifically, but what group out there has an actual solution to, let's put it this way, to climate change? A definite solution, because it's scattershot, right? Or it's like this person thinks this, that person thinks that, we should work with Greenpeace over here, whatever like I say. How would I describe myself politically then? I have no idea at this point. I really don't, Jake English. But so while I don't disagree with you when you say emotions, it's like I don't disagree with that. But the thing is, though, who's providing an actual solution? A lot of times is that groups today simply just sell the talking points of others, right? And they're just like, yeah, we should defund the police. It's like, well, I mean, according to, Lenin, yeah, we should we should smash the current military and police into atoms. But he says later on in chapter 5, if I'm not mistaken, we do need a secret police to prevent, sabotage and, influence from reactionaries, right? So to me, this is counterproductive. If you say, oh, well, we don't like the current police, fine. But how hard is it going to be to keep people on your side when you're eventually going to have another police force, right? I mean, that's my take on it. I don't know. I think that many cringe folks out there that really think, oh wow, we're gonna change everything, bro. We're gonna just work with BLM or something like that, then everything's good, bro. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just too burnt out. That would support that right now. I like the New Frontier platform, but they aren't really a political movement just yet. Well, that's fair. Yeah. Yeah, I think what CT's got going on, I think, is, they have some ideas and they have an actual plan written out. Hold on. I need to turn that off. But it's just not really that viable. Yeah. I think, like I say, I'm trying to be very careful here. I'm trying not to alienate everyone, but I do want to get some clout with this. But I do think that, socialism to me represents how you can help people on the ground. To me, the idea of communism is big sky thinking, as a lot of marketers may say, right? It's big sky thinking. It's basically, in my opinion, it's all lip service. It's like, yeah, solidarity with these folks, or, we feel bad about the folks in Yemen. Oh, what do you think about the Houthis? Crickets. They don't want to talk about that. It's also very hard. My job has been going fairly steadily. Let's see here. My thoughts on the National Justice Party. I think a lot of it is interesting, but I think that, like I say, it feels too. They're trying to be mask off without being too mask off. I think they're just trying to show half their face, but I don't know. But yeah, I think what I was going to finish, my point was going to be, is, how can you be, especially nowadays, we see kind of a resurgence of atheism. There have been plenty of atheistic channels out there who, make fun of Christians and all that. It's like, all right. But the thing is, though, they're not inherently political. Now, political folks are kind of coming back with the whole atheistic type thing, but will then say, well, we support these countries. It's like, well, we support Saudi Arabia, though. How can you be an anti-theist? But then also will kind of but you'll like a country like Saudi Arabia. But yeah. It is LARP, though. Yeah, absolutely. The National Justice Party is LARP. I was trying to be a little bit polite, but yeah, it is LARP. So, I mean, I don't really get, you have this resurgence of, atheism and maybe anti-theism. But then it's like, yeah, we're solidarity with these countries that, are very strong in their religious values. It's just like, how does that work? What sort of basis of respect do you think that you'll get? I don't get that. Can someone tell me that? It's like, how are you going to gain respect from somebody when you're an anti-theist and you yourself don't believe in any religion or deities, etc., etc.? I don't get that. I genuinely don't get it. It's just very goofy to me. It's very goofy and kind of critical to think, oh yeah, that doesn't mean you have to be doesn't mean you have to convert to Shia Islam or Sunni Islam, but at least you have to have understanding of where their beliefs come from and try to respect it. Yeah. If the atheists are hawks, they'll say Iran. Yeah, exactly. That's my opinion of it anyway. I don't know. Like I say, I don't think the idea of communism itself is in the traditional, sort of way. They're mostly Americans, so they have some cultural Protestantism. Yeah, that's true too. In general, I think that a lot of the future of politics is going to come from folks who are not politically educated, which could be a good thing or could be a bad thing, but I think it will be more organic. Because we see a lot of political groups have failed, in my opinion, that have failed or have had so many different scandals or whatever the case may be that really, where are they going to go? And so that's why, you have MLs who try to talk about, the lumpen proletariat and all this other stuff recently. It's because they know that these various groups are useless in the United States. It's like, do you really think the Party of Socialism and Liberation, former Trotskyist group, is going to make that much difference? I don't know. So, do you think the DSA is going to actually make some difference? I don't think so. Do you think the National Justice Party is going to make a difference? No. So I just, that's why I think people will push more for some sort of socialism, which I think is already being pushed for. Democratic socialism or social democracy, which is cringe, but that's what people are pushing for right now. I don't know. But to answer the question of the video, you can be a socialist without being a communist, because I feel like communism, to me, this sort of classless, stateless, cashless society, is not going to happen anytime soon. So it's better to be a socialist. Anywho, I think that's all I have to say on that. Is there anything else y'all want me to talk about? Any other videos y'all want to link or something? I'm going to be on call at 2:30 because my coworker's got some issues, but it happens. He's got to take, you got to take care of your parents, man. So I don't have anything against that. When they call me, if they do, But yeah. Anything else? I'll wait. I'll give it a couple minutes. I'm sorry for eating on stream, but I just wanted something small for lunch. America fucks up all traditional religions, even Islam, which is seen more conservative, suffers. There are videos of women leading men in prayer. Oh, yeah. That's kind of how I feel, too. Like I said, I'm somewhere in between. Like I said, I understand Trevor Meyer's point when he says I'm not a communist in the normal sense. Very heterodox. I have a lot in common with their positionists since I used to be one. I just, like I say, I don't want to start battles with, the people who watch me and everything. That's not my point with this. I think about it, and you say to the more successful quote unquote countries, like the DPRK, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, has embraced full-on Korean nationalism, and they want Korean unity. And I think that there's nothing wrong with that. In my opinion, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's the way you should go. Now, I think that there are problems, obviously, and there is genuine dislike between the DPRK and the Republic of Korea. I think there are genuine problems. Sorry, we're going to get some double audio here just for a moment. Oh, okay. Good thing I already did that, yeah. Jabba and his friends. Let me see the Imgur here. Let's see this Imgur right quick. My Wi-Fi has been real janky today, so I don't know what's going on. Let's see what we got here. Jabba and his friend. Oh, yeah. Yep, there you go. Yeah, I think it's funny to see people like Vosh who genuinely think that if you keep talking to these folks that somehow they're going to make things better. Yeah. The only thing that makes me a communist over a third position is I think class collaboration is good for starters, but I don't think it's substantial long term. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm not gonna go too hard on any of my hard beliefs on that, but I do think there's a point to be said in that, Trevor. I just think, I do think that there is a move towards decentralized politics. There's a genuine move away from the Democratic and Republican Party, which I think is good. And I think, eventually people will get swallowed up by these other groups. But I think right now, I think it's good. I think it's good that people are getting away from the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, because neither party really represents anybody other than their donors, I mean, there are a lot of bird dogs out there who are like, well, actually, the Democrats, if we just keep on putting in progressive Democrats, then things are going to change, folks. And it's just like, no. When it came to the eviction moratorium, Cori Bush is the only one that went out there amongst the squad to go out there and be like, I used to be homeless, this and that, so I'm going to try to fight things. Good for her. He's starting to not like mainstream Republicans. That's good. That's good. It's a step in the right direction. What I was going to say, where am I going with that? But yeah, you don't hear, AOC, and I know some of the people are going to say, oh, you're bringing up Jimmy Dore talking points. I know, because nobody else is really talking about it the same way. But AOC shut down her office in the Bronx, right? So they're protesting in front of her office. I think that There's a lot of folks who sorry. I think there's a lot of folks who think if you just keep talking to folks and you keep bringing up your points that somehow you're going to get coverage, but it's like it doesn't always work that way, There's a lot of pessimism. There's a lot of anger. And a lot of that pessimism and anger does not have a healthy place to go. The 2010s political movement is dead. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. What I was going to say is it's unfortunate that a lot of people go towards the LARP. It's unfortunate, for example, that, you'll have the guys like, screw your optics, I'm going in, where his anger at finding these things out as an boomer, that he has to go out there and shoot someplace, I have this other LARP where it's just like, I'm going to join BLM and we're going to tear shit up. It's just like, that's a lot of people's outlet. And that's sad, It's like you need to teach people. It's like, yeah, you can be revolutionary, but you have to have a reason for it. Just shooting up random people, that's not going to do any good. That doesn't, like I say, you have to be strategic and you have to, have a little bit of a chess game when you get at those. Just going up and shooting up some random place or whatever, that's not going to do any good. People need to take on more of a mentoring point. Yeah. Brings the weirdos out of the woodworks, unfortunately. It does. It's true. It does bring out weirdos. And it does bring up folks that will push a lot of LARP. I hope nobody ever watches my videos and does something wild and crazy, because I've always tried to tell people, hey, be careful of who you join. But let me just say this on an individualistic level. Please don't do anything crazy. Don't go out there wilding out and thinking that if you do some aspect, or if you think somebody wronged you, that if you think going out there and taking care of them, I'm using some careful words here, but if you do that suddenly that's going to make your life better. No, that isn't. You have to be smart in how you see the world. And you can't simply, it's hard because you don't want to be just a bystander. Yeah, you don't want to do that. But you don't want to be another one of these folks who just goes out there and shoots some place up. You don't want to do that. Because what's that going to help? That just further reinforces the system. I mean, look, at various times I've said acceleration is good, but I think to a point, that's also bullshit. Because I'm hypocritical. I'm a hypocrite. I'm not even going to say, oh, I'm human. No, I'm not going to say dumb shit like that. What I am going to say, though, is I'm a hypocrite. And it's easier that way. But, please, I will say out there once more, just to make sure. Don't do anything crazy. Don't think that, man, burning things down is going to... No, that reinforces the system. There is a revolution amongst the rich right now. There are folks. I'm just focusing on bettering myself and living the best life possible. And that is the best way to do things, Trevor. Absolutely. I'm going to leave this up for a little bit, but yeah. Focus on yourself and live the best life you can. if you want to try to go off the grid to a point, you can't completely get off. In my opinion, you can't. Because the system has made it that way. But if you can try to get off the grid as much as you can, grow your own vegetables. If you want to try to raise goats or something like that and try to do like a Joel Salatin type of thing, absolutely. I was watching this interesting video about Montana. I think it was on like one of those PBS channels on YouTube. But they were showing about it's a lot cheaper. This guy has like thousands of goats and just fences the area off. And the goats will eat everything. So you don't need weed whackers and all that. And it's, like I said, this is the original way. Or this is as close to the way it used to be. Without mechanized farming, this and that. Maybe I'm going more towards the Varg type of thing to a point, but like I say, he tries to live off the system, and he's smart enough to know where the line is at. But I'm not saying, I know people are going to say, you're being a hypocrite. I know, but while I disagree with him politically, I think Joel Salatin does some good stuff. I think that's all I want to say about that. Just be able to take care of you and yours. Just try to be cautious. Do not fall into the sense that there's nothing else left to lose and you have to just go out there in a blaze of glory. I know that society does teach that. And I know that in some cases, history teaches that. I know in some cases, before you can spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, you must first focus on yourself. That's true. That is true. I have many, many problems, most of which I don't want to bring up on here, but I do. And, this is just the way things are. They're just the way that these things work. So I guess I'll finish it up with this. To me, if you can convince people that your socialism is in the same line as that of AOC or in the line of these folks that are gaining some traction, then use that. I know some of my co-workers looking at places like Spain, the imperial heartland is for us. Yeah. Well, Spain, I know Spain has had hella issues, man. Like I said, I know that they have had a lot of troubles in terms of the protests and everything else. Like I say, it's much more low key, I think, but I think that there's so much LARP out there that you can't, I don't really think there's a lot of change potential in Spain right now. I don't know. I really don't know about Spain that much, to be honest with you. I just hear rando shit here and there. But anywho, I've got to hit the toilet. I hate to be so frank with you, but yeah, I do have to hit the toilet, so I think I'll do that. I'm going to be moving out to California because the hellscape probably within the next 6 months. Well, good luck to you, Trevor. I would say to you, sir, good luck to you. I think with California, I'll put it this way with California. Like I say, I've taken up kind of the basic conservative sort of attitude on California. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and unplug the mic. Okay, there we go. I'm going to move to the crapola mic. Okay. But, ooh. Okay. My words on California, sorry. My words on California are this probably is I think that California, while the government itself, the state government and the city governments are not great, I think there's a lot of potential in California. So I don't want to hold just the basic bitch conservative Republican attitude. California, this I do think that California has a lot of potential for stuff. I just think there are various groups that have to, and when I say groups, I mean like you're specifically like the Hispanos and the so-called Chicanos, this and that. Oh boy, here we go. Hold on. Okay. Well, you know what I was going to finish up on? I guess I'll just say California has a potential to become more socialistic. Okay. I got to cut this short. Okay. See you later, folks. Goodbye.